What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and my friends, the vibes are still going. Although we are both tired and not feeling the best, the vibes are still going because Monday night Ohio State did it. And what better episode to start it on than episode 70 for us? 70 episodes in, my friend.
I know, man. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So, if any of you tuned into the live stream, we were live during the game, and it was about a 4-hour stream. So, if you guys want to check that out, you can more than welcome to. We did post on TikTok as well a clip of one of the parts of the stream that I thought was hilarious, and it turned out pretty good. So. Yeah, if you guys want to go check all that out, go for it. But yeah, man, the vibes are great. Ohio State did it, man. We fucking did it. How are we feeling? 2 days after the championship has been won.
I still feel fantastic, man. I'm still hyped about the championship. It's all I can think about, and it's probably all I'm going to think about all week.
Oh yeah,
and it's just time to celebrate if you're an Ohio State fan, wherever you are, because. I mean, we fucking did it, dude. We did it. We won the Natty. We're national champs again. It took us 10 years, but here we are.
But hey, man, 0-4, right? 0-4. Oh my gosh, we lost to Michigan. Oh no, our season sucked because we lost to Michigan. Fuck you.
We don't care about Michigan.
Fuck you. I don't care. I know we had a meltdown during the game because we love to beat that team up north, but it doesn't matter because. The way that the playoffs are set up now, rivalry games don't mean as much as they do anymore. And it sucks for college football. But at the same time, these playoff games were insane. Like, there were some crazy games. We got to be a part of a few of them. And, I mean, Ohio State really did have to go through the gauntlet of the playoffs. I mean, starting off with Tennessee. A very solid team, very good defense. Supposed to be one of those SEC tough teams. Out. Then we play Oregon, the number one team in the nation all year long. Smoked them at the Rose Bowl. And then you play Texas, who's been a top 5 team all year long. Beat them. Didn't smoke them, but beat them. And then you come in and you beat Notre Dame in the national championship game. And the final score being, what was it, 34-23? Yeah, 34-23. And honestly,
you can say we smoked them because we smoked them early on in the game like we did all the other teams.
Yeah, I think we kind of got a little
lazy at the end.
We just wanted to try to run this clock after the third quarter and stuff, which Ohio State does at times, and it does kind of piss me off because I mean, I know we were both saying in the live stream, like, dude, keep your foot on their neck, like, keep going, like, embarrass them because we've been embarrassed every single time we've gone to the Natty. Like a majority of the time, if we are in these games, we get embarrassed in some form or fashion. So for us to not really do that, I was a little bit upset because we could have, but they still got the job done, and I'm really happy with the result because at the end of the day, we come back with a national championship under our belt, and we still have a lot of guys that are going to come back that are going to play exceptionally well for us. So I don't see why we can't put ourselves in a position to go back and try to repeat,
Yeah, I mean, people want to talk about these new playoffs, and I think what they should have done is they should have started with 8 before they moved to 12, first and foremost. But I think what this does for the playoffs is I think it makes it harder.
Yeah.
Because look at who the last 2 teams were. 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Not 1 and 2. It's not your 1 and 2 team. It was 7 and 8. Which means that the 7th and 8th best team in this college football playoff were the best teams in college football.
Yeah.
So it's to prove that, like, yeah, the 4 team was never going to last because they were always going to expand. But it just proves that, like, what if we had that for years?
Yeah.
Do Alabama and Clemson and Georgia win those natties? Do do other teams win those natties? Do Ohio State have a little bit more national championships? Do we not win the one in 2014? Like there's so many questions to be asked in those regards. But in that run, we beat the number one team, the number two team, the number three, the five, like the six, like and just that's just the season. We beat.
Yeah.
I think it was like we beat six of the top eight on the
Yeah.
on the run in whatever.
Fairly certain. So yeah, because you got to think, obviously Oregon, um, Texas, um,
Tennessee.
Tennessee, obviously, ND, and then we also beat Penn State in Indiana as well this
Yeah.
year. I mean, even before
You
the
so
playoffs started, we had 3 top 10 wins.
yeah,
So,
I have it here. We beat number one Oregon, number three Penn State, number five Indiana, Texas, Notre Dame, and Tennessee, all ranked in the top 10.
the only ones that we weren't able to beat were the ones that got beat before we could get to them, which were
AKA
Georgia. Georgia. I mean, I guess you could count Boise, and even Arizona State. But again, we never we will never get to play them unless it's in the playoff. And I don't think you're going to see a Boise State back in it for next year. And I don't know about Arizona State either. We'll see how they go. But point is like the usual teams that are always within that top 10 threshold, we came through and beat a majority of them. And I think if we had a shot at Georgia, we would have beaten them as well. So this was a very tough, Ohio State team. This is going to go down as one of the best teams that Ohio State has ever gotten to put together. And, I know a lot of the talk over the last few days has been about the $20 million roster, and I get that to a degree, but we were not the highest paid roster in the entire league. In fact, Texas and Oregon were above us in terms of how much money that they paid.
And I think someone else figured out and managed to, because since Notre Dame's independent, they didn't have to release how much they spent in NIL. But I think someone figured it out, and they said that Notre Dame would have been number 3 because they would have spent, I think it was like $600K more than Ohio State. So actually, Ohio State was, in that regard, Ohio State was the 4th highest payroll. So it would have been, like you said, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, and then Ohio State. Because remember, Notre Dame paid a shitload for Riley Leonard, and beat Ohio State to get Riley Leonard.
Yeah, I mean, that's right, because we were sort of in the running for him, and honestly,
we got Will Howard.
and God, was that a very underrated, life-saving move for us to make? I think Will Howard was the best move that we could have possibly made. I mean, of course we did, but I mean, when you think about the guys that we got in the portal, the only ones that were able to really contribute this year were Downs. Obviously Judkins, and then McLaughlin, the guy from Bama. Julian saying we haven't gotten to see him. He's going to be here for next year. I think he's going to be absolutely insane for us. I'm so excited to see what that kid does. But a lot of this team is homegrown. I mean a lot of this team is homegrown guys like Ryan Day went out, and got, especially on this defense, man. A lot of these guys, this whole senior class was his first real class that he had. So to have Jack Sawyer and JT, Burke has been here for a while. Ransom has been here for a while. Both of the Williams bros were here a while. Iggy has been here for a minute. And he's got more guys as well that is going to play a lot more next year. So it's going to be fun. And yeah, we're going to lose quite a few guys on this defense, but it's not going to be the end of the world, because a lot of the guys that played behind them got a lot of decent playing time, even in this game. Like, they did a really good job of keeping guys fresh throughout these games and really using the roster. It's very refreshing to see that. And they're only going to continue to recruit well. They've always been a top 5 recruiting class every year, and I don't think that's going to slow down by any means. But I do kind of want to just go over, just sort of run down the game
Mhm.
as it went. So I guess I'll just start off with saying, if you were in the live stream during Notre Dame's first drive, I was not a happy camper. I was very upset, and you know that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
that was a drive that it kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety because I was like, how do you let them have an 18 play drive just marching down the field, doing almost the same play every third down?
Yeah.
But once we started getting back into the flow of things, and as I started to think about it over the last 2 days, Notre Dame really did blow their load in that first drive. Like,
Yeah.
they showed their whole hand in that drive. They literally said, if it's third and short, who's going to get the ball? Riley Leonard. Because nobody else on that team could run the ball. They only ran for 53 yards, and Leonard had 40 of them on 17 carries. So he only averaged 2.5 yards. And he had that first score, but like Jeremiah Love was their big time guy. He had 4 carries for 3 yards, a 0.8 average. This was the guy that was talking smack, saying,
Yeah.
I want Ohio State. But you didn't want them because this defense was quite literally the best defense in college football all year long. Um, and they got to see it firsthand how great this
Yep.
D line is. And I'm really glad that the guys responded the way they did, because obviously as soon as Ohio State got the ball back, they drove right down the field. And our first 3 scoring drives, dude, were 10, 11, and 12 play drives.
Yeah.
They were longer sustaining drives that that took 5 to 6 minutes off the clock. And even we said on the stream, we're like, that's a little different. Like, we're kind of more used to these like 4, 5, 6 play drives that last 2.5 minutes because we're
Yeah.
throwing bombs. And Ohio State was able to just slowly wear them down, and really control the game. So what were your first thoughts though after that first drive that Notre Dame had? Because that drive gave me a lot of anxiety before we came back and scored.
I mean, it left me frustrated too.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't be as visibly frustrated because the walls are pretty thin in my apartment, and I didn't want to yell and wake people up and whatnot. Which one of these days I probably end up will. But what it frustrated me because not only did it take almost 20 plays, it took 10 minutes off the clock. They almost took the entire first quarter away.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit, they took the entire first quarter with one drive, and that was the first drive of the game. And at that point, it's like, okay, next time, just take the ball first. Don't defer. Just take the ball at that point.
Yeah.
But it was frustrating, and luckily Ohio State was able to drive down and get to first and goal by the end of the first quarter. So they were like, I think they were like 10 yards away from the end zone.
Yep.
When the first quarter ended. So I was like, okay, at least we were able to drive down.
Yeah.
And at least at the end of the quarter, get to the end zone. So, because then it would have been more frustrating if we got the ball, we weren't even able to cross midfield.
Right.
And then that would have been extreme. And that probably would have put a lot of pressure on Ryan Day, a lot of pressure on the Buckeyes from the get go. And that probably would have changed a lot of the outcome of this game.
Absolutely.
But like you said, I think what happened was they gassed themselves too early.
Yeah.
Because they spent a lot of time running the football with Riley Leonard that not only was he gassed and also back and forth injured quite a bit.
The Lions gas. I mean, because they were going no huddle the whole drive.
Yeah. And it's not like they were giving Jeremiah Smith any love or Jeremiah Love any love. Because he only had 4 carries the whole game. Like, they didn't even bother to utilize their best running back.
Which is weird. I mean, I know he was a little banged up, but he played pretty well against Penn State. You had to think that he was going to try to do it again.
That's the thing. He played well all along, like throughout the college football playoffs, and they didn't even give him the opportunity.
Yeah.
To even
I think they just put themselves in a hole. I mean, after that drive, I mean, once we got to scoring, we kept scoring, because they We scored on that Jeremiah Smith fake reverse pass that was a beautifully drawn play, which come to find out, and I even said this in the stream as well, Alabama used that play on us when they beat the piss out of us a few years
Natty.
ago with Devonta Smith. So Chip Kelly saw that and said, you know what? At some point, I'm going to use it. And the funniest part about watching that replay was the corner bouncing up and going, hey, it's going to be a reverse. It's going to be a reverse. And it sold them so badly that he was already past the halfway point of the field before he realized Jeremiah Smith was going backwards and getting an easy catch, and nobody was within 10 yards from him. And it was just an easy score. But then Ohio State gets to force the Irish into like a 3rd and long. I think they got a penalty and, something else that really got them backwards. And they had start forcing him to pass. When you force Riley Leonard to pass, I mean, he had a decent stats. I mean, he was 22 of 31 for 255 and 2 scores. So obviously he played well, but again, a lot of it was dink and donks.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. I mean, the one big play that they had to get the lead within like 8 points, that was like a 30-yard pass. And it was a nice ball, but
a lot of it was sagging off.
And when you're bringing the pressure to Leonard, like it's really hard for him to get the ball out cleanly and not feel that that pressure. So even though I think we only had 2 sacks on the game, total, which was Styles and JT. Those are the only 2 guys that recorded a sack. But we were getting a ton of pressure on them, a lot of pressure on them. So it just helped. And Ohio State was able to score on their next 4 possessions. Yeah. I mean, they came back and scored with Judkins on a rushing score. And then right before halftime, Will Howard drives us down and scrambles and finds Judkins wide open, and they score right before half. And then we start the 3rd quarter, and Judkins takes it 70 yards to get to the 5-yard line, where he, a few plays later, obviously finishes it off. So he had a 11 carry, 100-yard game, 2 rushing touchdowns, and then he also had 2 catches for 21 yards, and obviously that score as well. So he had over 100 yards total in the game. But I want to give praise to Will Howard, man. As I said a little bit ago, he was the most just under the radar signing that we could have possibly had.
Absolutely.
This dude started the game 13 of 13. It was a CFB record. Yeah. And then he ended up finishing the season with the highest completion percentage out of any quarterback this season in college football. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, it was 74% completion percentage.
Unbelievable. And that just shows how consistent he was. So he only had to pass the ball 21 times. He was 17 of 21, didn't throw a pick. I think he's only thrown 2 picks total in the playoffs. Actually, I think if one, maybe. I don't know. But he was very efficient. He kept the ball going every single time. And it really helped us sustain. And he also did really well in the run game. He had 57 yards on 16 carries. I mean, he just played a monster game. And he was the offensive player of the game. Although you could have given it to Judkins, and even he said that after the game that he thought Judkins would get it. Because obviously you scored 3 at times, you're like, hey, man, how you got to give it to him. But, he obviously was able to connect with Jeremiah Smith for that first score. And then obviously at the end of the game to seal the deal, which was a beautiful ball. And the unsung hero on that play that not a lot of people are talking about is Travion's block on the blitz to keep the pocket clean for Howard. And it was a quick 3 or 4 step drop back, and he slung it. He saw Jeremiah one-on-one and was like, oh, this is money. So Jeremiah Smith had 5 targets or 5 catches for 88 yards in that touchdown. And yeah, man, this defense held Notre Dame to 53 yards rushing total. And 40 of that, again, was Leonard, and a majority of that came on that first drive. After that, it was nothing. That Great House kid had a great game. He had 128 yards with two scores, but other than that, man, Notre Dame just could not catch enough of a break. And we clearly just were able to kind of overpower them with our talent.
Yeah.
And I think it was also a matter of Ryan Day outcoached Marcus Freeman.
A lot, yeah.
And we said it all game long how flustered we thought Freeman was. And it just showed his, obviously his lack of experience. I mean, he's a young coach, and he's a damn good coach. He is going to be a damn good coach for a long, long time. I'm really proud of what he did for Notre Dame. And Ryan Day finally got one. And I think it took a lot of weight off his shoulders.
Yeah.
And I'm just really happy to see how they bounce back after the Team Up North game because it was such a big disaster. It was a huge L for us in the moment, which now obviously it doesn't even matter. But like hearing about all of the shit that he had here, all of the death threats, all of his kids hearing shit at school, teachers saying stuff to his kids at school about him. For him to get a win like this, it's gotta feel really good for him, man. And I feel so happy for him after we all wanted him fired, me included. I'm not gonna shy away from that. I wanted him fired after that Team Up North game, and
I think we all did.
And he proved us wrong, and I'm happy he did, man. I'm so happy he did.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not like he's a horrible coach. He's a good coach, a great coach. I think a lot of us wanted him fired for the fact that he just could not beat Michigan.
Yeah.
And I think that was too important to us. But I think now with the realization of these playoffs make a lot of these games now meaningless. It makes the regular season meaningless. It makes the conference championship meaningless. All these games are now meaningless until you get to the college football playoff. And Ryan Day, like I said, Ryan Day proved to be he's a great coach. Like I give my hats off to him. He's a great coach. Yes, we get really upset with him against Michigan, but we have to understand too is that he's only lost like at total like 3 or 4 games against anyone else besides Michigan in his career.
Yeah.
So that's just a testament to how good he is. Like, yeah, he's not good against Michigan, but when it comes to anyone else, he has the confidence to beat anyone else.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't mind seeing into a coach because it's like, yeah, I want that in the college football playoff. You don't get to see Michigan, but you know what? It gives me confidence that he could beat Oregon, he could beat Penn State, he could beat Georgia, he could beat Bama, he could beat these teams.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with Ryan Day being the coach for a while because now that he has his natty, like you said, the weight's been lifted. And I think this changes his coaching style a little bit to where he becomes a little bit more aggressive now as a coach. And I don't know what happens to guys like Chip Kelly or Jim Knowles, but if you retain those guys, I think they become more aggressive as coaches.
Right.
Because now you have that feeling of we can go back to back, and we could really just start stringing something together here. And we all know that Ryan Day brings in great talent. He's a great recruiter, one of the best in the business. And as long as Ryan Day stays, we're going to get top tier talent coming here. I mean, a lot of the transfer portal are leaving the portal to come to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Especially, and they're going to now because we won the Natty. We're national champs. They're going to want to play for the national champs. They want a piece of it. So now he's got a lot of people he could choose from in this portal. He's got a lot of people that he can go get, that he can replace people that he's going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ohio State has 3 of like the top things that I think recruits are going to want to have in terms of when they come to this program. This is what they're going to get. They have the ability to get their money. Yeah. Obviously, with the NIL, Ohio State's going to have plenty. With these boosters, They have so much money to bring in.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Then you have the chance to compete for titles, for big games, and just really compete at a high level in
Yeah.
college football. And 3, player development. I mean, dude, look how many receivers, corners,
Running
linemen,
backs.
running backs, now quarterbacks. This team knows how to develop talent, and they know how to develop them into NFL level talent. And I think just with that mix of stuff, like Ohio State is always going to be one of those teams that teams are going to look to say, hey, I want to be a part of this program. And, you still have the culture. You have the fact that Ohio State is just it's one of those schools that's rare with the way that it has its its culture. It has one of the best stadiums ever, I think, and that's saying a lot because there's a lot of great stadiums like the Rose Bowl, like the Toilet Bowl, there's a ton of good stadiums out there, but like Ohio State just has it all, and I get why teams want to be a part of it, and as we were saying, like they have a really good chance to repeat. And I mean, even with the amount of guys we're going to lose on defense, you're going to think Cody Simon's going to be gone, JT, Tyleek Williams, Iggy probably will be gone, Burke will be gone, Ransom will be gone, Jack will be gone, Hancock will be gone. That's almost your entire starting team.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough, but the guys that they are going to bring back are going to be fucking awesome. You still have Downs. Iggy could come back, but you have that Jermaine freaking Matthews, who is going to be an excellent corner for us. Caden Curry, who is the other guy? Jackson, Kenyatta Jackson Jr., both great DNs. They're going to be fantastic. There's D tackles that are big that are going to be nice too. Like there's still going to be some good solid talent. And again, you're going to continue recruiting. Ryan Day knows how to recruit, man, and that's why these players love him. Like these players really rallied around each other and around him and really competed. And I think the guys that are a part of this team now that are going to come back for next year are going to have a lot of fun. And the offense is certainly going to be our strength because we're going to bring back a majority of this line, plus adding 2 tackles on this line that are going to really help keep Julian Sayin upright. If Judkins decides to come back, that's great, but we're still going to have 2 solid running backs that are still going to be phenomenal. You still are going to have Jeremiah Smith. Tate is going to be a fantastic wide receiver too. Ennis is going to be a nice slot for us, and I think we have more guys that are going to start to come in here recruiting wise. And then obviously Julian Sayin. I mean, I've been saying this kid's going to be nuts. Like I'm telling you, he's going to be a freak. He's going to be such a baller. And even if he doesn't turn out, Tavion St. Clair is going to probably be just as good, if not better. Like, who knows? There's a lot of talent that's going to come in, and there's a lot more talent that will continue to come in because of Ryan Day's ability to recruit. And it just makes this program fantastic. Plus the tight end we're getting from Purdue is going to be one of the best tight ends in the nation, which is, that's a thing we really haven't had, honestly, like ever. Like we're not really known for having like big quality tight ends. So to bring one in like this is going to be interesting. It is going to add a level of dynamic to this team that we really haven't had like at all at the tight end position.
Although I thought G. Scott did well.
Yeah. And G. Scott's athletic.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good ball catcher. And he's got enough speed. So as long as he's coming back, which I'm pretty sure he is, they'll have 2 great guys, at least receiving wise, that are going to do excellent there. So it's going to be fun, man. I'm really excited to see what this team can still do with the guys that they're going to bring in and bring back from this team. But I do want to make a quick comment here about this game. In the past, every single time we've gone to like a national championship game or even like a big time game, I've always gone into these games feeling incredibly nervous because I wasn't totally confident in this team. This year's team was the first team really since 2015, which is the run that we had there. It was like the Cavs in 2016. Like I was just like, man, you can't fucking stop this team. Like they're always going to come back and win. I had so much confidence. Like I was a little nervous, but after Ohio State scored that for the first drive, I was like, okay, like we're gonna be just fine. Like we have this game in the bag. Ohio State's gonna come out with a lead, and they are not gonna slow down. And it was just a different feeling, man. I've never really gone into these games, especially with Ohio State, feeling truly as confident as I did. And it was not a sort of a cockiness or anything. It was just straight up like, I just can't see this team losing. Like, I know it was partially because it was against, Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's a great team, and I'm not going to take that away from them. Like, they're a fantastic team. I just thought we had more power, and it proved to be true.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree. Like, this is probably the most confident I've been in a team since that 2014-2015 team.
Yeah.
Because just like the other games that we've seen, like Georgia a couple of years ago, 2 seasons ago, when we missed a field goal way wide left, like that game I was super nervous about because it's like it's either going to be a close game like it was, or it's going to be a massive blowout and Georgia's going to dog walk us.
Right.
Again, the Alabama game, I think it was the year prior to that in the national championship. I was sitting there like, we're probably going to get dog walked in this game. And we did. We lost like 52-24.
Yep.
We got smothered. So yeah, like you said, this is like the most confident I felt in a squad in a long time. Because like you said, like of course before any game I'm gonna be a little nervous. But once we scored that first touchdown, like you said, it was just relief, and it's like, okay, we got this. Like we can come back. We can easily just come and win this game. So I think that's a testament to Ryan Day's recruitment.
Yeah.
And now with the NIL, you can go out and get people who can help you get to that next step. Because again, I think if we had the NIL a couple seasons ago, I think things would have had different outcomes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying those outcomes would be us winning a national championship, like before people get a little crazy about that. But it definitely changes an aspect of a lot of things.
Yeah.
It changes a lot because it's like now some players have choices. Like, do you go to Georgia? Do you go to Bama? Do you go to Ohio State? Like, of course, you can go to one of those teams, but now who's going to pay you the most? That's the team you want to go to. Or which team do you feel has the most confidence of winning a national championship? So maybe guys like Jalen Milroe doesn't go to Alabama. Maybe he goes to Georgia or Texas or something. Maybe this guy doesn't go here and instead he goes here. Like Carson Beck probably wouldn't have been at Georgia, period. He could have been a Buckeye. He could have been at Florida
Or even
State.
Quinn Ewers if he would have stayed. It's a weird world we live in now with college football, man. It is what it is with the NIL stuff. But yeah, man, that was the most confident that I think I've ever been in a game besides the 2015 game. Because honestly, after we had beaten Bama, I was like, we are clearly the better team. Like I did not think Oregon had it, and I just thought like the way that we were playing, Urban's confidence that he always bring. I was just like, this is it. Like this is the greatest stretch ever. But this stretch of football that we just played in this playoff tops that. To be honest with you, I mean
I think the college football playoffs is now harder than it was before. I think this makes it a lot more, especially if you don't get a bye.
Yeah,
it becomes insanely difficult. It becomes a gauntlet now because instead of winning one game,
favored us though. Like it was weird, but it favored us because it gave us more time off after the team up north loss.
Mhm.
But then you go in and face Tennessee at home. Dog walked in. And then Oregon had a few weeks off between the Big Egg 10 championship game and
Mhm.
then that game. And that proved to be wrong. I mean, all top four teams lost
Yeah.
in their first game. Like, it's like now that adds an element. And, you know, it does kind of suck that they didn't go to an 8-man, but now I almost feel like they're going to end up expanding it more and doing a 16, you know, and like it's just like if they do that, like that's going to even open up more possibilities for an upset. And I know a lot of people didn't want Ohio State to win. I know that there's a lot of fans out there that hate Ohio State fans, and to a degree, I get that. I think there's
Yeah.
plenty of bad, apples within Ohio State's fan base, but I think you can find that in just about any fan base. I think we are just loud, and
Yeah.
I do wish that more of the Ohio State fans would understand how to win, like understand the grace of winning and showing the respect because the players did. I mean, all of those
Yeah.
players showed that grace. And I just wish that fans would do the same. But when Ohio State is on top, these fans get cocky. And then when they get too cocky, it comes to bite us, in the ass. And it usually does in the form of a team like that team up north, beating us the way that they do, and in the way that they have for the last few years. So it is what it is. But at the end of the day, though, Ohio State was able to use that, like that big loss, and turn it into like the turning point of the season, and made like literally one of the most difficult runs in college, football, and they did it. I mean, it's a story that's going to be told for a while. The way that we won these games, yeah, man, it was a fantastic run, and I'm glad it's over for the sake of my blood pressure. Just trying to be calm now and not have to worry about fucking football for a little bit. My gosh, I mean, yeah, we still
Yeah.
have the NFL, but I'm glad that I'm not tied to any of these besides a sports bet or whatever. Now I can worry about the Cavs and I can start worrying about the Guardians. It's just nice to get the change of pace. So,
Absolutely. I'm with you there.
definitely happy and proud of the boys, though. This team and this class deserved it a lot. So, any final thoughts from you on the game before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, again, just what an absolutely fun and fantastic game, and just a great day overall. Because once again, this is something we've been looking forward to for the last decade now, and it pains me to say that the last time we won a national championship, I was 19 years old, and here I am now going to be 29 in a month, and that was the last time we won a national championship. It's like, is it going to take another 10 years? Am I going to be 39 by the time we win the next one? And
God, I hope not.
yeah, I hope not either. But hey,
It is
listen,
weird though when you think about it. Like Ohio State was the first team to win the Crystal Ball championship, which was the game against Miami,
yep,
and then they won the first college football playoff championship, and then
yep,
now they just won the first one of the 12-team playoff bracket. So I guess Ohio State they only do it when there's changes made in the way that the championship games are worth. So I don't know what that says. It's really weird that has been the case, but it's also kind of cool. So I'm
absolutely.
I'm just excited to now deal with the constant 0-4 chance from that team up north fans, which is fine. You know what, if you guys want to have that, if this was your your own championship game, then so be it. But dude, it really doesn't matter because we had the one that really gives us the big bucks, and I really hope that next year Ryan Day finally goes into it and just
Oh,
puts
be,
stick out and just actually fucks them.
before we stop talking about Ohio State, shout out to Will Howard and Jack Sawyer for going to Raising Cane's and helping out
I saw
Raising
that.
Cane's today. Also, shout out to Will Howard for his Cane's order because he said Screw the coleslaw. Give me that extra toast, baby. And that makes me respect him even more. Bring him to Cleveland because of that only.
Oh yeah.
I don't care how he plays in Cleveland. Just bring him here just for the fact that his Raising Cane's order is the exact same as mine, and I love that so much.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Although I'm not opposed to coleslaw, but
Nah, throw that shit in the
get
garbage.
I get it because
I'm
like I
throwing
used to.
I'm throwing that 90 yards deep into the trash.
Yeah, but yeah, man, what a fun year. But you want to go ahead and move into a little bit of Cavs talk?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. So, Cavs are getting ready to play Houston here. Actually, I think the game might have just started.
I think the game starts they're in Houston, so I think it starts like 9. Let me double check here.
That was 8. No, it's 8 p.m. So it'll.
Oh yeah, it's getting ready here in a second then.
So yeah, they're playing Houston, who is obviously like a pretty solid young team.
Yeah, they're good.
You know, Green has been, you know, their big guy. He's been averaging about 21.5 points a game. Guys out for this game: Levert, Okoro, and Mobley. I guess Mobley is dealing with a little bit of a calf strain. It doesn't sound serious. I personally think it's just them being ultra cautious, especially being 36-6. I don't think they're too worried about a loss or two, with him being out. But I know a few people have sort of raised concerns. Are you worried about that at all, or are you kind of with the same boat as me here?
No, I'm in the same boat. I think I know everyone wants 70 wins and whatnot. I could care less about how many wins you get. Like that doesn't. I'd rather have players be healthy than try and go for a wins total. I mean, look what happened with Golden State when they did that. They lost the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So, like, regular season wins doesn't matter. All that matters is making the postseason. And in order to succeed in the postseason, you need healthy players. So I need Evan Mobley to get healthy. I need Okoro to get healthy. I need Levert to get healthy. I need all these guys to get healthy. So I am perfectly fine with sacrificing a few losses for all these guys to take some time off and get healthy. So, yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat as you. And they're supposed to be back within the next game anyways, it seems like.
Right.
Because all the return dates are the 24th, so they're expected to return after tomorrow.
Yeah. And I mean, I even think same with Okoro. I think Okoro probably came back a little too soon because he has not been shooting the ball well since he came back from that little AC joint sprain that he had. So for them, I think it's just trying to get him to get back into the flow of things. If you got to keep him out for another week or two, so be it. Like just let him. It's still January, man. Like we're getting ready to go to All-Star break here in probably 3 weeks, I think now. So we have plenty of time for him, for him to get ready. I'm not worried at all. Levert, I think, is a wrist sprain or something, so that shouldn't be too much of a concern. I think again, it's just them being cautious, and I don't see anything wrong with doing that. So, but obviously, the Cavs have sort of come off after that big loss to the Thunder. They've had good back-to-back wins against Minnesota and Phoenix, both of which Donovan has been finally putting up some points. He's starting to get back to that that 30-plus point game average. Guys like Garland have been sort of having to take a little step back from that, which I hope is not going to be anything that's going to continue to go on. But I mean, they beat the dog water out of Phoenix, 2 nights ago. I mean, it was 118-92. I know it was at home, but I think they held KD, I want to say, to like 25 points. They really didn't. They didn't really do a whole lot in that game. And again, Donovan had himself a nice night. So what are you going to look for them to do here tonight against Houston? For me, I want to see Garland get back into the flow of things and get a nice little 20-point game under his belt.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, now that Mobley's out for the next couple of days, I think they're going to have Jared Allen focus more of just being a rebound guy and a paint guy.
Right.
And they're try and work it around between Mitchell and Garland.
Yeah.
And so now's the time for guys like Mitchell and Garland to get their points totals up and whatnot. Because again, since our last loss, or since the OKC game, Mitchell has posted 30 points in the last few games.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that again tonight. I wouldn't be, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if Darius Garland gets 20 plus. So it's going to be more just circling around Garland and Donovan Mitchell. Let them work, get some work in, let them do what they do best. Like you said, get Garland back into the flow in the swing of things. Probably utilizing a lot of Ty Jerome and Sam Merrill too. Like get them off the bench more and let them get some shots up.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to run an effective game plan when the guys you need on the floor, like especially bench guys like LeVert and Okoro, and then your main man Mobley being out, you really can't do what you want to do. It changes the aspect of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have Jared Allen bring the ball up the court. You're not going to have him chuck up a three. You're not going to have him do all these things, make insane passes like Mobley would and whatnot. He's just going to come out there and just get inside buckets. And I mean, you can still run the same game plan and throw lobs, but I think you're going to see, like I said, Mitchell and Garland take some more shots and take some more ISOs and 1-on-1s and gambles a little bit more than usual. And then we just go back to the same things that we do with when Mobley gets back.
Yeah. Yeah. And so speaking of which, both Garland and Mitchell are the guys that are scoring for us at the moment. So Donovan has 5 points already. So Garland just made a three, and so did Strus. So we're hitting some 3-pointers here to start the game. It's nice to see Strus back in the starting lineup with Mobley out. I hope that they bring out Wade and put Mobley back into the 4 and then keep Strus in the starting lineup. I just think he'll have a little bit more of a factor in the game with that unit. I think he'll just get more opportunity for more open threes, and if he can really get his shot, going more consistently, Strus is going to have a nice year.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited to see that. But yeah, we'll see how they do. But the Cavs again, they're 36-6, man. They're 15-4 away. So a majority of their games they have lost have been on the road, but they just seem to continue to play aggressive. They really start games fast, and it's just kind of like how Ohio State did it, where if you start fast and you get out to a huge enough lead, it's really hard for teams to really claw back their way because it takes so long for them to climb back into it. And I think the Cavs, when they do that, I think they're just a really hard team to beat. So we'll see if they can continue that. That's really all I got on the Cavs. I know there's not really a whole lot to discuss on them just yet.
Yeah.
Guardians. Cannot forget about a little bit of Guardians talk. They signed a reliever today. So Drew, do you want to go ahead and go over that since you're more of the baseball guy?
Yeah, so the Guardians went and picked up Paul Sewald from Arizona. He's a 34-year-old reliever. And I know people are, once again, they're scared of age and whatnot because he's 34. But,
right.
I mean, this guy, over the course of the last couple of years, has been really solid. He's been a very solid relief pitcher for his whole MLB career, starting with the Mets in 2017 and then going to the Mariners and then playing the last 2 years at Arizona. I mean, he didn't have the fantastic year this past season, but I think he had some injuries and he was just coming back and he kind of got a little bit beaten up.
Yeah.
Which happens. I mean, that's just par for the course, but
exactly.
It's almost the same situations that we've dealt with when we picked up, Ben Lively and Matt Boyd. It's just one of those where you take a 1-year flyer on them just to add a veteran arm. We have a very young bullpen. And I think the Guardians were like, we need a a true old veteran in there just to kind of get some confidence instilled in these kids. I mean, granted, we were the best bullpen in the league last season, so we don't need that much confidence, but it brings that veteran leadership into the bullpen. And, in case of, what happened to Class A in the playoffs, Paul Sewell could come out and say, listen, kid, this happens all the fucking time. Just keep your head up. You'll get the next game, man. Like, and it just instills that confidence a little bit. And it's just veteran leadership. Again, it's the reason why you brought back Austin Hedges. It's just that leadership, the guy who helps boost and elevate a team. And again, Paul Sewell's not bad. I mean, he's got a career 4 ERA. He just comes in for an inning, just does his work. He's a relief / closer, so if you need to, he could come in and close games. He had 16 saves last year, 13 the year prior. And then for I think it's like 3 straight years had back to back 20+ saves.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just a solid. It's like having a right-handed Sam Hinches in the bullpen and older. So that's how you have to look at it. Same kind of play, same kind of style. Very tall at 6'4", very kind of just, a long stride and everything.
All right.
So I think he'll fit in quite well. I already seen a lot of overreactions, like really an old. It's like these are the people who don't know
Brian
baseball.
Shaw. Like it's not Brian Shaw. Quit fucking worrying about it. He's a pretty
solid, consistent guy, and that's we already have a pretty well established bullpen, so I think for them it's just depth.
Yeah, and that's really it is. It's just a depth. It's just a depth piece. Like it's not like you're not asking him to pitch every single night. You're asking him to come in like, oh, he plays on a Friday night and he won't pitch again until like a Tuesday night or something, like a Monday night. So, and plus two, I would rather have Sewald over Eli Morgan and Nick Sandlin any day of the week.
Yeah, same.
So that's basically the replacement of those two, and that's where that money went, was trading away Sandlin and Eli Morgan and getting a Paul Sewald. So it's like, okay, someone who's a little bit more trustworthy, a little bit better, doesn't blow a lead in one inning when you have a 5-run lead.
Yeah.
So it's just a safety net. Again, it's just that veteran safety net.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, not a bad signing at all. I think it was more than warranted. I know it's not a big splash or anything, but it's the Guardians. You can't expect these guys to fucking do it. So
well, especially too, they have to save that money to pay Stephen Kwan, and so you can't really expect them to make a massive splash because they still have to pay their main guys. Because sometime this year you got to pay Stephen Kwan. You got to pay. I'm pretty sure they gave Lane Thomas arbitration. Same with Kwan, but I'm sure if Lane Thomas starts to perform a little bit more this season, they're going to want to extend him a little bit longer. So you got to save some money for those guys. You can't just dump all the cash. So I assume, and from what I've been hearing, that they might try and splash some money on either a pitcher or another fielder, because or another maybe a right fielder or something. Because I did see today that before he traveled to Arizona, John Casey Noel in Puerto Rico was taking obviously working with the Guardians down in Puerto Rico because they have a station down there. They were having him field a lot of ground balls at first base and do a lot of first base work. So
yeah,
they might be looking to get a right fielder or starting a last starting pitcher just for some added depth. Because again, you can start Noel on right field, but again, they want to start working those guys, him and Manzardo at first base, and using maybe Santana as just a straight up DH. So, or if you want to use Carlos Santana as a first baseman, you could throw Noel out in right field. But that's what it seems like is going for them, is that they want to get another right fielder and then maybe another starter. So they're gonna spend a little bit more, but sometimes you have to spend less, and you have to remember that they have a very deep system with a lot of guys who are ready. I mean, Chase DeLauder can easily come up and be the next right fielder, so that's why you're not seeing him spend a whole lot.
Right.
They want to see what these guys can do in spring training. if DeLauder plays well, he might end up starting this year in not in AAA, but in the big leagues. So you can't expect them to splash cash every single turn right now, like you see the Dodgers doing or the Mets doing or anyone else. You just got to be patient with them. Spring training starts in 3 weeks, in 2 weeks. So they want to see how preseason goes for a lot of these guys in spring training, and then they'll see if they want to spend some more cash. But other than that, I mean, everything's covered. You have all the pieces. Again, Chase DeLauder's ready to come up soon. You have Manzardo, who's ready to start at first base as an everyday first baseman. John Kenzie Noel can also play first base, or if you need him in right field, he can play right field. So we got to stop hitting the panic button. I know we're Cleveland. That's what we like to do best is panic, but we got to stop it. Like, yes, we got a 34-year-old reliever, but he's fine.
Yeah.
Unless you want Eli Morgan back on the mound and be my guest, and you're just the worst GM. You're worse than the Dolans and, Chris Antonetti. But, I trust what's going on right now. We made the ALCS for a reason. We can always do it again.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much more to add to that. You pretty much went over it all. So
also, Pedro Avila got dumped for the 40-man roster to make room for Paul Sewell. So Pedro Avila's gone.
Yeah,
and he was a solid guy, but
again,
you got to make room for vet.
Yeah, and when you have as deep of a roster as we have too, like even in the minors, like sometimes that's just gonna happen. It is what it is. Sucks, but
that spot that Pedro Avila, that long reliever, might go to someone like a Hunter Gaddis or a Cade Smith.
Yeah,
someone who's even better than Pedro Avila.
Right.
So
yeah, not the biggest deal ever. Do you want to end just with some straight NFL picks and call it?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll pull up the 2 games, even though there's only 2 games, but I'll pull them up.
Hell yeah.
Championship time is here, baby.
Yes, sir.
So let me present my screen for the people watching on YouTube. There we are. So 2 easy games. We got the Washington Commanders versus the Eagles. And then we have, I believe both of these games are, and correct me if I'm wrong, are these both on Saturday or Sunday?
I think these are both on Sunday.
I think these are both Sunday games. I'm looking up just in case. I don't want to be wrong. Let me take a quick gander here.
Yeah, they're both Sunday. So the Eagles game will be at 3, then the Buffalo game will be at 6:30.
Yep. Okay, so yeah, Sunday. So we'll start with the first Sunday game. That's Commanders-Eagles.
As good of a run as this has been for Washington, and I am rooting for them, I do think the Eagles are going to win this game. The Eagles defense is so damn good. I know that Washington sort of ran it up with them the last time, but you have to remember the last time that they played was when Jalen got hurt. And once Jalen got hurt, the Eagles really slowed down. Otherwise, that offense was going to continue to go. And I think that they've probably learned what they did wrong the first time, and they'll probably do better this time. So I'm going to say, Eagles here, but I am 1,000% rooting for Washington to go all the way. You might as well. And Andrew, I already know what you're going to do, so go ahead and do it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles. Yeah, I'm actually going with the Eagles because, like you said, Jalen Hurts is playing. And, I mean, just look at what Saquon's done all postseason.
Yes,
I mean,
Saquon's just been a dog, man. You can't.
Saquon's just been the difference maker. And, again, Saquon can just beat any team by himself, it seems like. Yeah. And who knew, knock, knock, New York, who knew all he needed was an offensive line? Oh, no, big shocker.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, with an offensive line now, he's averaging about 120 yards per game.
It's just fucking nuts.
Which is absolutely bonkers. But I mean, I got the Eagles because I don't think anyone can stop Saquon at this point.
No.
It doesn't matter if AJ Brown or all these other receivers get any touches, whatever. Saquon can just carry this game by himself.
Yeah.
Although I do want Washington to win just because it's just a nice Cinderella story, and it's just. I think everyone would just rather have Washington over the Eagles at this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then obviously the last one, the game of the century, the Bills versus the Chiefs.
Yeah, this is going to be an excellent game.
This is the best game by far.
I think the Bills do it. I think the Bills shocked the Chiefs. The Chiefs did not play well last week.
No, they were
I mean,
horrible.
you could tell that they've been off for almost a month. They did not play well. And the only way that they play better is if they come into this game knowing that, the Bills are going to really come at it. But, I mean, Josh Allen has fallen short many times. I think this is his year to redeem. And I think the Bills got it, man. I truly do believe in them. So, going Bills.
I'm going Bills as well, just for the fact that the first time these two played this season, the Bills took the matchup. Now, granted, the game was in Buffalo, and this game's in Kansas City, but Buffalo is the only team to beat Kansas City all season. Obviously, I won't count the last game of the season because that's just a fluke when none of the starters are playing and it's all second and third string guys. So I won't give that second loss to Kansas City. So the only loss that KC had was against Buffalo. And I think Buffalo might have them figured out now. And I know Patrick Mahomes came out the other day or earlier today said that the refs have not been helping him and the refs haven't been giving him calls, which we all know that's a load of bullshit. Because why would you pretend to dive on that one play where you barely got touched and you're going out of bounds and you flopped? Because you did it because you know you're going to get the call.
Yeah.
Although you didn't, but you knew you would have. So we're not stupid, Patrick. We know you're getting the calls, you're getting the help. But I don't think that's going to hinder Buffalo one bit. I think they're going to allow these two teams to be more aggressive. And when it comes to the aggression, Buffalo's defense is far better than Kansas City's.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be a lot more aggressive. And again, I think they're going to play a lot more aggressive offensively. James Cook is better right now because is a great running back. Josh Allen has been slinging the rock really well as of late. So give me Buffalo. And I know everyone's dream matchup is going to be Washington versus Buffalo. That's my dream matchup too. Yeah. The NFL wants the Eagles in Kansas City because it's just fucking NFL and they're just babies.
Hit the nut button if that happens. Oh,
if it's Washington Buffalo, I'm smashing the nut button. It's like no. It's like
right.
It'll be a dream come true. And I tell you what, I think the Washington Buffalo would do way more numbers than the Kansas City and Eagles Super Bowl. Way more numbers
because we've already seen the episode. We've already seen the Eagles and the Chiefs go at it.
Yeah, it's like beating a dead horse. Like, oh boy, we get to see this shit again. If that's a Super Bowl, I probably would not watch it.
Although I do think if the Eagles were to go up against Kansas City, I think the Eagles would probably do it this time around.
Yeah, because
I just think their defense is so much better. Yeah. I mean, Kansas City's defense is very good too. Don't get me wrong.
They don't have that good of a secondary though.
It's all right. They have one really lockdown, good corner, but it's their front seven that's just fucking nasty. But the Eagles just kind of have everything. They have size on that defense. They got speed. They got athleticism. They got it all. And obviously, they have tons of guys on that offense that are just killers. So, I mean, it's hard to think that they shouldn't beat Washington, but Jaden Daniels, man, and honestly, dude, when you think about it, if Washington comes out with a dub here, doesn't that more so justify the Browns being okay with taking a quarterback in this draft at some point? Whether it be if a Cam Ward drops or if you really do like Shador, then you take a gamble on him, or if you like a Jackson Dart or Will Howard or whoever, you take it, because if you really can trust a guy to run the system that you want and you believe in him, he can do wonders.
Yeah.
And between him and what obviously Caleb Williams is going to be able to do now next year, especially if they bolster the old line over there, which they should. That should be their top priority in Chicago.
Yeah.
But now that Ben Johnson there, Chicago could be a nasty team now as well with Caleb. Mm-hmm. And it's just you've seen, Knicks play well this year. These young guys are just going to take the league by storm. And sometimes it's okay to take the gamble. You just got to be smart and calculated with it. So we'll see what the Browns do with that. But
Yeah.
it is a fair note to think about when it comes to Washington, because they took the chance on J.J. Daniels. And I mean, all along, I don't know if you even recall this, but I was the one saying that Daniels was the best quarterback out of that draft. That was the guy that if I was a roster, that's who I would have wanted.
Yeah.
And
We said it on the podcast. I think we're like one of the only people in the fucking world that said Jaden Daniels was the best quarterback in that draft class.
Yeah, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think I know quarterbacks decently well because I called, dude. I know a lot of people.
We called CJ over. We called CJ over Richardson. We called
Bryce too.
Yeah, and Bryce. We called Jaden over. Well, it was Jaden over Richardson, I believe. Or was Richardson and CJ in the same draft? I think it was Richardson and CJ in the same draft, and Bryce, because Bryce went first, and Richardson went second, and CJ went third.
It was Caleb, or it was Jaden over Caleb and May and Mix.
Yeah. But yeah, we called Jaden Daniels as the best one. We called Stroud as the best one. Back in 2018 when we drafted Baker, when I was at the media school, I was actually drafting a YouTube video we were supposed to make about how I think Josh Allen had the best floor and best ceiling, and that the Browns should take Josh Allen over anyone, because I think, and there's this whole video of how I thought with stats and everything that Josh Allen was the best. We're going to be the best QB in the 2018 draft class.
Yep.
So I will take that one too. I'll take Josh Allen 2018.
I definitely I said Josh Allen was going to be great too. I was mixed between Josh Allen and Baker, because I liked Bake's attitude, but I thought Josh was just like the better build, and he had the best arm. Like he was a dynamite. But I also called Pat Mahomes. I thought Pat Mahomes, I compared Pat Mahomes to Stafford, with his arm talent, and I feel like I got that one right as well. The only one that I ever got wrong truly was freaking Money Manziel. I knew he was going to be bad, but for that draft, I did call that Derek Carr was going to be solid, and he has been. I mean, he's not like an elite, quarterback, but he's been a great quarterback for many, many years. Yeah. So I don't know. I think I just kind of know QBs decently well. Absolutely. I mean, I know how to at least tell if they're going to transition well from the from college to pros, because I think you're seeing a lot of that now, where now these quarterbacks are staying and getting one more year in college just to get more experience, because they know it's going to happen. And that's why I think Will Howard is going to have a very intriguing NFL career. I don't know where he lands up, but if he lands here, I think he'll do great here. But Jackson Dart's my guy personally, and then I would say Cam Ward are the two quarterbacks that I would really, really take. But yeah, at some point we'll do some mock drafts and stuff. We did one during the live stream at halftime, and it was a little fun. We didn't even take a quarterback in that draft. We just kind of were screwing around. I was like, oh shit, we didn't even draft a quarterback.
Yeah, we were just kind of messing around just to pass halftime.
Man.
But yeah, once we get towards like March and whatnot, we'll start doing some mock drafts, because the draft's mid-April. So once we get to like that mid-March or something, we'll start doing some of those mocks and
absolutely
having some fun with that.
So, but yeah, man, that's pretty much all that I got.
Yeah.
Again, it feels good to be a fucking champion, man.
Feels good to be a winner.
I'm gonna be walking around with my chest pumped all week long.
Absolutely,
and it's gonna be great. So, I wore my my OSU stuff all day yesterday, so I was ecstatic. So yeah, we will see you guys next week with some more Cavs talk. We'll see if more Brown stuff becomes available. I know Chad O'Shea was just dropped today by the Browns finally after so many years. I've been saying that I wanted him out of here. So new receivers coach that is going to be coming in soon. I don't know who, but that's going to be a thing that's going to happen. And then as we continue to get more into baseball stuff, we'll get more into that. And then we'll keep it locked in for the Super Bowl, which will be a few weeks away. So, yeah. So, yeah, guys, we will see you guys next week. And as always, we're just BS.